Destiny as a franchise is in a very unique position. Every video game can be played casually or can be speedrun, but very few games out there give its players the opportunity to challenge themselves in ways the game did not originally intend. Destiny, on the other hand, is full of amazing challenges. You want to beat a raid boss blindfolded? Go for it. You want to solo a dungeon without guns? Knock yourself out. With all these great challenges, I asked myself a question. When was Destiny at its peak? When did challenge seekers break this game the most? You may say it was when Slayerage first soloed Crota, or even when Glad solo flawless all the raid bosses back to back. And while those were significant, to me, whenever I try to think of the best time for Destiny challenge seekers, my mind always goes back to a month in late 2020, where in the short span of 24 days, 3 Guardians completed 7 game-breaking challenges. Between September 20th and October 14th, the Guardians JP, Axis Bake, and Vertical shook the Destiny community by setting records, doing the impossible, and showing how far Destiny can really go. Let me take you on a journey. Let me show you the greatest month in Destiny challenge history. Our journey begins on September 20th. The Guardian JP completes one of the longest running challenges in the Wrath of the Machine raid to become the second person ever to beat solo Siege Engine on a Hunter. If you're unfamiliar with this challenge, I actually made an entire video cataloging the progression behind one of the hardest challenges in this game. I'm not going to go too in depth, but trust me when I say that this challenge is hard. Like in 4 years, this challenge has only been beaten 11 times hard. Yeah, it's one of those. Anytime solo Siege gets beaten, it's a big deal. This was also the first time that a one-blink strategy was used. Normally, you blink all the parts onto the Siege Engine, but with JP's new and simplified strategy, only one blink was required. While still being monumentally difficult, this change made solo Siege a lot more manageable. However, this brings us to the second challenge on our list. See, when JP beat solo Siege on a Hunter, he had a thought. He wondered if a blink was required at all. For years, it had been widely accepted that solo Siege Engine was barely possible with blinks. There's no way a zero blink strategy could be possible, right? Actually, yes. September 22nd, 2 days after his first Hunter completion, JP completes a feat that had been accepted as an impossibility: solo Siege Engine with no blinks. Moving backwards, from Wrath of the Machine to the OG Vault of Glass, one of the oldest and honestly easiest challenge in Destiny was solo Atheon. You could find dozens of people beating this every week. However, after the Age of Triumph update, solo Atheon went from an everyday occurrence to something people thought would never happen again. The short explanation is that the one mechanic that allows you to skip the entire encounter actually started to work for once. Now you actually had to do the encounter. This patch made a solo impossible. Maybe. Ever since the release of the raid, an idea had been mulling around if you could balance keeping the portal open and shooting the oracles on the inside. The problem with this is that you'd have to blind guess the correct side, and since it was estimated to take about 4 damage phases, you're looking at 1 in 16 odds. As you can imagine, this challenge wasn't thought to be possible. But recently, a new strategy was discovered that lowered the RNG from 1 in 16 to a mere 1 in 4. If you want to see what made this challenge so hard, let me know in the comments section, and I may make a video about the history of this particular challenge. Anyway, no one was willing to spend hours grinding, trying to find the perfect set of RNG, until JP came into vogue. See, JP had been wanting to get into Atheon and prove it was possible to solo. With the help of Danny R and Ledton, these three spent around 5 hours planning and theory crafting. A strategy was actually found, but how long would it take to work? How about another 5 hours? "3 years later, on September 25th, solo Atheon was beaten. For years, the community at large had accepted that solo Atheon post-Ave to Triumph may never happen. But here we are. And this is only number 3 on our list. Hopping back into Wrath of the Machine, yeah, there's a lot of Wrath challenges. We return to Solo Siege Engine. This one is mine. I had done about 2,800 attempts over 4 months trying to beat this monumental challenge. Finally, after a long day of streaming, I decided to hop back on and try a couple off-stream attempts. And after only 2 tries, I get on a run. A really, really good run. As far as Solo Siege Engine completions go, this was the 9th. But what made this run so special was that this was the new world record for Solo Siege Engine, beating out Kylo Brent's previous run by 4.5 seconds. As of the making of this video, this run still stands as the current world record. Now we're on the 5th, and without question, the most impressive challenge on our list. The legendary Axis Bake, known for his years of dominating literally every Wrath challenge you can think of, from Solo Siege Engine, world's first solo hard mode Axis, world's first solo Axis in 2 phases, and the then world record for the 6-man Wrath speedrun, decided it was time for the big one. A challenge like no other. A challenge that dwarfed all that came before. Solo flawless Wrath of the Machine. For the most part, this seemed fairly manageable. Nothing felt horribly undoable, except for the second encounter, Vosik. See, Solo and Vosik had been a journey of the challenge community ever since Wrath released. I'm not going to go too deep onto this one because I actually made an entire video about this challenge and its history. Link's in the top right corner, go check it out. But the TLDR of it is, at this time, Solo Vosik had only been beaten twice. By anyone. Ever. And now, Axis Bake was expected to not only do that challenge, but the rest of the raid in a single segment without dying 1 time. This was going to be huge. And after months of grinding, after thousands of attempts, on October 7th, this happened. This completion is one for the ages. I don't think it's hyperbole to say this qualifies as the hardest challenge in Destiny history. Keep a lookout. So much went into this challenge, I feel like I'm not giving it enough credit on how much work went into it. Maybe I'll make a full video about this someday. For our 6th challenge, JP makes a reappearance. Remember how I said that soloing Vosik was a monumental task? Well, with Axis Bake solo flawless completed, that rose the solo Vosik count to a mere 3. Only 3 times had Vosik fallen to a single Guardian. Again, I'm not going to go too in-depth into this challenge. If you want to hear the full story, video links in the description. But one thing about this challenge, it was only ever possible with a very specially rolled, very rare rocket launcher. All 3 previous completions had used this rocket, but JP was bent on proving you didn't need this rare rocket. You could use the extremely common Ghallihorn to kill Vosik solo. And on October 11th, JP made this a reality. I know for a fact I'm not giving this achievement the praise it deserves. The mathematical precision needed to kill Vosik with a single Ghallihorn is staggeringly difficult. In the sense of single encounters, this might be one of the hardest things Destiny ever created. For our 7th and last challenge, we're going to stay in Vosik. Remember that extremely rare rocket launcher that for the longest time was the only thing you could use to kill Vosik? Well, the day after his Ghallihorn completion, JP actually got the perfect roll, and he thought this was a sign he needed to solo Vosik for his 3rd and final time, now with the God Roll rocket launcher. Was this easier than using Ghallihorn? It was worlds easier. JP actually ended up killing Vosik faster than any run before. And while this may not sound very impressive, you have to remember, solo Vosik was a huge target in the Destiny Challenge community, and due to its ludicrous difficulty, on October 14th, 2020, Vosik fell to a single Guardian for the 5th, and as of the moment, final time. In this video, we discussed events that happened over a mere 24 days. Between 5 unbelievable world's firsts and 2 challenges beaten at speeds rarely thought possible, I don't think we'll see another instance such as this. You may have your own ideas, and please put them in the comment section. I genuinely want to know what you think was a big time in Destiny. But to me, as far as challenge seeking goes, this will forever hold the title as the greatest month in Destiny Challenge history. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I'll see you next time.